Hello guys, my name is Runa, some might know me better as Off She Goes, and this is my long-term review of the Husqvarna Norden 901. This year I have been one of Husqvarna Motorcycle Scandinavia's ambassadors, and I've been taking this bike for about 14,000 kilometers around, riding around Scandinavia, both on-road, gravel, enduro tracks, the whole thing. This video will be very much just like from a rider's point of view. How is this bike actually to ride? I'm not a super techie person, so if you're looking for all the specs and that kind of stuff, you better visit a different video. Also, if you are skeptical that me being an ambassador for this brand will corrupt my opinions, please note that I do have an agreement with Husqvarna that we made at the beginning of the year that I'm allowed to have whatever opinion I want about this bike, and I'm allowed to share it. So I promise this is my totally honest opinions. So one of the first things I noticed when getting on this bike for the first time was, number one, whoa, this tank feels wide, like between my legs. And also the angle on my knees felt like, how's that going to be like on longer rides? Is that going to hurt my knees, going to get uncomfortable? If I have more layers on, is that kind of build up like inside here and cut off the circulation of my feet? For the tank part, like as soon as you've ridden it 15-20 minutes, I don't even think about it anymore. Number two, it's actually super nice to grip your feet around riding off-road, both while you're sitting and while you're standing. And the knee part has not been an issue at all. I did change my foot pegs to wider foot pegs. That comes in as an option, as extra equipment for this bike. And they are quite a bit lower, actually. So that kind of opens up the angle in your knees a little bit. Other than that, I feel like the handlebar are in a nice and relaxed position. No strain on my shoulders. Everything just kind of falls into place naturally. And I know I said this in my first impression review as well. So that has not changed. I still feel the same about the seating position. Actually, I think I like it better now just because I've tried it for so many kilometers and I know that this actually works. And this is one of the first times where I can actually ride quite a stretch without getting off the bike, because I just get numb in my feet or my bum or whatever. So that's, yeah, I like that a lot. On to the seat. Initially, I liked this seat a lot, and that has not changed. On my Tenere, the seat was very slim, and I did have the lower seat, so there's a lot less padding in it, which made it quite hard and uncomfortable to sit on for longer stretches, in my opinion. This one is a lot wider in the back, has more padding, and is just in general a lot nicer to sit on. That's just my personal opinion. As you can see, I also have a sheepskin on top. I started using this actually with the Tenere just to try to find something that would make it a little bit more comfortable and also adds a little bit of warmth, since I mostly ride in a little bit colder areas of the world. And yeah, it just come along onto this bike. I just call it my roadkill, and I kind of like the looks of it. So here it is. I get a lot of questions how I attached this to my bike, how I made it, because I made it myself. I simply found a sheepskin, cut out a piece that fits the seat, made some holes in the side, attached paracords in the holes, and kind of just tied it underneath the seat. You can see them kind of here, sticking out here. But yeah, it stays in place, doesn't slide around at all. Also, I treated the underneath of the sheepskin with some like fatty material stuff to make it a little bit more water repellent and durable. What else is there to say? I do have my seat in the lowest position. There's two positions. You can heighten it about 1 inch, I think, by putting it in a higher position if you want more leg room, or if you're just taller in general. So yeah, the opinion about the seat has not changed. After riding it for 14,000 kilometers, I still like it a lot. Next thing is the seat height. I got my cheat sheet here. The seat height of this seat in lower position, I'm pretty sure is 85.4 centimeter. My inseam is 74 centimeter, about I think it's 29 inches. And I can just tippy toe. I have the toes on the ground on each side and nothing more than that, which has not really been a problem at all. You get used to it. It's a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning, but you get used to it. You just gotta think a little bit more about where you put your feet down, which sometimes goes wrong. I had one episode where I didn't plan out very well, and I ended up falling over because I put the wrong foot down was kind of in a slope and the ground was too far down. But it lowers a little bit, of course, putting some luggage on here, or if you have a passenger or that kind of stuff. Also, because the tanks are so low, the weight is so low on this bike, so it's just very easy to kind of catch it if it starts tipping over, compared to the Tenere that's it's quite top heavy. I think it's not bad at all, but it is higher up here. You have the tank higher, so on that bike I felt more that you had more weight on top, whereas this one it's just very nimble. It's very easy to move around. The only time it's a problem really with the seat height like this is when you're parking and you're just kind of trying to walk the bike around just on your toes, especially if there's a little slight slope or something. But other than that, no problem. Just takes practice. All right, on to the standing position of this bike. Initially, riding this bike off-road or like standing up, riding one of it the first time, so I felt like, it's a little bit low. I might want to have it raised a little bit, because I don't know. I was under the impression that you should stand as straight as possible, I guess, while riding. After spending some time this fall, learning a little bit more about enduro riding and body position while riding off-road, etc., I understand that this is very much a correct position. I'm not saying that I have a correct position now, but I understand that you should have straighter legs and your body more over the handlebars. And after kind of getting used to that, the handlebar position of this bike fits me very well, actually. Also, I feel like it's easy to grip with the inside of your knees. There's kind of like an edge coming out here, so you're stopping at that edge when you're kind of sliding backwards a little bit. So that feels nice. A piece of extra equipment I have installed that has increased the comfort of standing up riding a lot for me is also the twin pegs. This is a sponsored product too, by the way, just so you know. But oh my gosh, if I can help it, I'll never have a bike without these any time ever again. Oops, I need to oil this. It's a little bit slow. What this does is it's just like an extra little foot peg over here that you can rest your heel a little bit on. And the idea is to give you both more comfort, more stability, saves you a lot of energy while riding. For me, as a quite rookie on gravel riding, it actually felt, I don't know, it felt safer. Like you have more room to wiggle around and stand on, and it's like you're standing on a freaking platform. And yeah, it feels very safe. I know that these are quite a bit of a controversial topic, that a lot of people think that these will be in the way, because if you're riding hard like off-road, enduro, rally, whatever, you need your leg to kind of work as suspension, with your heel kind of dropping back whenever you're hitting something hard, etc. That's an opinion that's kind of on its way out, I feel like, and you can see a lot more people using these, even professional rally riders, which is really cool. Hopefully they will come out to more models soon, so you can try them if you want to. I love them. Some people don't. If you want to try them, if you ever meet me and want to try them, let me know, and you can have a go and stand on a bike and see what it feels like. Next up is the windscreen. As you can see, I do not have the original windscreen. This is the touring windscreen that you can get as an upgrade. It comes in the original with the Expedition model, I believe, but not on the standard Norden. I remember like the first ride I had with this one, I went straight on the highway, because with the lower one I had so much wind like coming in my shoulders and in my helmet, and it was kind of uncomfortable in highway speeds. With this one I was like, I'm gonna take this on the highway right away, and yeah, it does make a lot of difference. It doesn't like completely remove the problem. It's not like you're sitting behind a wall like some of the other bigger, like the GS for example. They have like these massive windscreens. This one is still it's still quite slim on top, so I still get a little bit of wind on top of my shoulders and top of my helmet, but it has helped a lot. Still, I will have this removed for next year. The reason is not because I didn't like the effect that it has on the comfort, but because while filming, this screen ends up taking up so much room in the viewers, like in the picture, in the film. It takes up like almost like half the screen, I feel like, blocking the views and stuff. And I had a lot of comments from you guys saying, the view would be a lot better if the screen wasn't there blocking it. Unfortunately for my comfort, but fortunately for the view while riding, I will have this shorter version screen on the next bike. Other than that, let's go through the additional upgrades that we made to the bike together with Husqvarna and MB Racing. I did make a whole video about the upgrades, but since we're here, we might as well just talk our way through them. First up, we did put on the thicker bash plate, skid plate, whatever you want to call it, which also kind of works as engine guards because they're covering the tank, which is the widest point of the bike. Yeah, it's really nice and sturdy. It has taken a lot of hits for this bike and it's still holding up and protecting the way it should be. So this is definitely an upgrade that I would recommend. It also comes further back underneath here, so it protects a greater part of the bike. Next thing, as we already mentioned, we got the wider foot pegs. Since I have the second peg here, the twin peg, I wouldn't really need the wider foot peg because I'm standing so sturdy anyway. If I did still have the original foot pegs, I would still remove the rubber inside just because it gets so slippery when wet. Next thing, we put on the side rack carriers for my luggage. I chose, it's silly really, I chose the side racks for the side bags instead of the one for the suitcases that are squared, because I figured I want to save a little bit of weight, and I think they look nicer since they're smaller. But they are also quite a bit thinner. They are quite sturdy, they are. But after taking a few hits, falling over a couple times, both of them have been bent inward. The one on the right side here, so much that it was laying into the exhaust. But still protects the exhaust a lot more than if it wasn't here. So anyway, what's next? Reinforced handguards with the metal thing in here instead of the standard ones who are pretty much just plastic. That's one fall over and it will most likely break. So this is kind of like a mandatory upgrade, I'd say, if you're riding off-road and expect to fall over a little bit. Also installed heated grips. These are the original Husqvarna heated grips. Previously I have used the Oxford heated grip on my previous bikes, and I've liked them a lot. They are so effective that I don't think I ever used them on like 100%. There's 4 levels on the Oxford version. And I don't think I ever used 100% because it was simply too warm. These ones have 3 levels, low, medium, and high. And they have worked perfectly. Like I don't need them to get hotter than this. What's next? Mirrors. These are the double take mirrors. I got them from one of my first sponsors that I ever had, Backcountry MC. So thank you very much to him. He kind of surprised me with them we met up at an event, and he was like, if you're going to ride off-road, you're going to need these. And yeah, he was actually right. The weekend after having these installed, I went to the Norden tour, which you might have seen on my channel, where we did some quite hard off-road riding in the forest there, falling over a lot. And if it wasn't for these, my mirrors would have broken 100% for sure, because they were bent in all directions after the falls. What these do are pretty much, instead of, like if you hit them, they won't break, they just kind of bend inwards instead on these ram mounts. So yeah, very nice upgrade that I'll take with me onto the next bike for sure. What else is there? Protections for the headlights and auxiliary lights. I was about to say that's a pretty cheap upgrade to save you a lot of money, but no motorcycle equipment is really cheap, and neither are these. But it's cheaper to put these on instead of having to replace the whole headlight or auxiliary lights if they break. So I do have a USB outtake on this bike as well, because I needed to charge my equipment while I'm riding, the camera equipment, etc. That was quite a bit of a hassle to get installed. I've not done it myself. It's done by the local workshop, MB Racing, who's also kind of the owner of this bike, true Husqvarna. You kind of have to take off the whole shed to access what you need to access to install this, but they made it happen, and now I have a simple outtake here on the side, which it's easy to. I usually keep a lot of my gear here in my tank bag, and then I can just pull the cable out here and then plug it in here. There is an outtake on this side right here. What I don't like about that is having all these wires kind of going over here, and I'm so freaking clumsy. I've messed it up, and you pull it too hard and then you ruin either the intake on your camera gear or the wire or the cable or whatever. So safer for me to have it down here, and it has worked well. Yeah, I think that's it actually for the upgrades. Next up, the fuel tank on this bike is 19 liters, so quite a bit larger, not quite a bit, it's 2 liters larger, I believe, than the Tenere, which is 17 liters, I think. This one is 19, and the consumption has been quite impressive. Consumption is 4.1 liters per 100 kilometers, which I'd say is pretty great. The first 1,000 kilometers, it was about 4.5. But that was a lot of just like small trips out in the evenings and stuff like that. So after riding it for longer distances and stuff, it's stabilized at around 4.1, 4.2. But yeah, 19 liters have been plenty. I've never been even close to running it dry on any of my stretches. I make sure to stop and tank whenever I have the opportunity, especially if I don't really know where the next one's at. I had some questions what this bike is like cold start, if it's a chill morning and it's not been running for a couple of days or whatever, if it's hard to get going, because apparently several people have experienced that, and I have experienced that as well, but it is past, and I don't know exactly why. But in the beginning of owning this bike, like in the morning getting up, a little bit chilly outside, it sometimes would take like a second try to get the bike going. And it would sound like, it was like almost about to die. But for some reason that has changed, and it's not been a problem at all. It is now the end of November, and I haven't ridden this bike since the beginning of September because I've been doing enduro this whole fall. I've been starting it like every now and then just to make sure the battery doesn't die and let it run. And even like last week, when it's been 2 weeks since the last time and it's been -degrees outside, no problem, starts on the first try. So I don't know what's up with that, but yes, I have experienced it. No, it's not a problem anymore. Another question I do get a lot is just the riding experience on this bike in general, like balance, size, maneuverability, and I've already touched a lot upon this while talking through the other topics. This bike is very easy and it's intuitive to ride. It turns over easily, it's in the roundabouts and whatever. It's just easy to ride, I feel like. I mean, it's a big bike, it weighs a lot, it's chunky. It's not a small like enduro bike, it is an adventure bike. But from the bikes that I've ridden, the GS, the Tenere, the KTM, I've tried a lot of different ones. Some for just like half an hour at a time and some for, a long time like this one. And this is one of my favorites, and I don't know if it's just because I've become so emotionally like attached to the bike and have had like a lot of good experiences with it, but it's just I like it a lot. I can sit on it the whole day without having too much problems. I do get off quite a bit anyway because I film and take pictures, etc. So I never sit on the bike like hours and hours and hours. Super easy to ride even with extra luggage. I mean, that's a lot of your job as well, is to pack correctly and make sure you have the heaviest pieces down below, so it doesn't get too top heavy and hard to maneuver. But also with the Tenere have about 70 horsepower, I think some place between 70 and 75, I can't remember. And this one has about 105. And I can definitely feel that when riding on highways, like this one just has a little bit more to give. I mean, there's 30 more horsepower, so of course you're going to feel that. And that has been a pleasant upgrade that I didn't really know I was missing until I had it. Another question I receive quite a bit is how is the pickup ability of this bike? Like how easy is it to lift if you drop it down? And I don't know if it's because I've probably learned a better technique now than I had before, but this is so much easier to pick up than the Tenere. I don't think it's only about technique, because the Tenere, it's taller and it's a lot flatter. So when it first kind of lays there, it lays very flat, and you have to pick it up all the way from laying down flat to going up. So the way I had to pick up the Tenere was having to squat down so low to get it because it's so flat, I didn't have enough power to lift it that way. So I had to kind of face it and dig my arms under it and just kind of walk it up like that. Where with this one, I can pick it up the way you're supposed to. I mean, there's a lot of different ways, but I think the most common one is, you pick it up like this. And I'm able to do that with this one, even with fully loaded, with all the luggage. Whoa. On to the quick shift. I liked it when I got it, and I still like it. As long as you hit the quick shift on kind of the right place on the rev range, it is so smooth. It's like you won't even feel a nudge. If you're riding too fast or too slow, or your rev range is too high or too low, then of course you're going to feel a nudge. And I feel like that's usually worse when shifting down. Getting used to actually using the quick shift has been like such a mental thing for me. Like, I don't know why I have this thought that, using it too much is going to wear out the clutch and it's not good for the bike. So I've been kind of, I'll just use it every now and then. It's so nice to have when you're riding off-road, for example. In the beginning, I wasn't very comfortable with shifting while standing and riding. I felt a little bit insecure having to shift the weight onto this leg to be able to shift with this one. So in the beginning, I would just kind of sit down, shift, and then get back up again. But having the quick shift made that a lot easier to kind of get used to, shifting with the foot at least while you're riding without having to loosen the grip with this one so much. Also, just if you're coming too fast or something into the corners or whatever, it's just easy to use. It's just a nice accessory to have, just like the cruise control, which I've, for the first time ever, pretty much started using with this bike. The Tenere didn't have cruise control, didn't have quick shift either. So I've been kind of a little bit against having like all this technology, but I think a lot of that is just kind of getting used to it, while at the same time you don't want to depend on it too much. So it's just a little bit like, I tried not having it and I tried having it, and I have to say I prefer having it just for the transportation stretches where you're just like eating kilometers on boring highways. All this talking, I feel like I'm running out of breath. So, riding modes. I made a promise when I got this bike that I would try all the different modes and play around with the Explore mode, etc. Because they upgraded. Forgot to mention that we upgraded this bike with the Explore mode, because that doesn't come original with this bike. And the Explore mode basically gives you the option to really customize your own riding modes. I have been using 3 of the modes a lot. Street, rain and off-road. I've been using them a lot, and I like them a lot as well. I don't know if there's a whole lot to say about that. On rain you have a little bit slower throttle response to make it a little bit more safer. I don't know if there's a whole lot else it does. Probably something with the traction control, and because of the road can be a little slippery. I don't know what else there is to say about it, because I don't know a whole lot about the technology behind it. So my experience with all the riding modes are great. When it comes to the Explore package, I have failed. I've not used it a lot at all. The gravel roads that I've done alone this year has been like simple, standard, easy going gravel roads. So I could have pretty much been riding these gravel roads with the street mode. So I went into the Norden tour this year, thinking I'm going to really try that one now, because we're going to do a lot more like riding in the terrain. I didn't really know how to adjust it. Then I saw several other guys like accidentally pulling wheelies because of playing around with the riding modes. The throttle response was very direct, let's put it that way. They were just going to speed up normally on the highway, and then whoop, there they went. And that scared me a little bit, so I thought fuck it. So I went on that whole event with just normal off-road mode, and that was pretty hard terrain we were riding in, and it was still enough. It is what it is. All right, we are coming here to the end. Headlight, what's the light like on this bike? Let's put it on. The light is very nice and bright, and then we have the auxiliary light, and then let's put on there we have full-blown lights. Let's put it this way, you are very visible, and it's very easy to see whenever you're meeting another Norden rider, because the headlight is so recognizable. I have not ridden this bike a lot at nighttime, but I have ridden it quite a bit in the dark in tunnels. And there's two things I want to comment on that. Number one, when you have like on all the lights, it lights up everything you need to see. It actually works super well. Number two, normally when I get into a tunnel, I would of course not use like the what do you call it? We call it the long light. I just have like standard daytime light on because I don't want to blind anyone coming towards me. But I usually always have the auxiliary lights on, and still I have had cars coming towards me that's been blinking, you know, trying to communicate that my lights are too bright and they are blinding them. So I've come to the habit of being aware that if the lighting in the tunnel is pretty bad, and I'm meeting cars, I turn off the auxiliary lights just not to blind them. All right, so now I've been chatting for a long time about all these things that I just found amazing and great, fantastic, super about this bike, because I do really like it a lot. So the question is, have I had any problems with it? And yes, I have. Just after riding this bike for a few hundred kilometers, all of a sudden I would get warnings about the ABS, that it wasn't working correctly on the bike. And then all of a sudden it would disappear again. Like it would be very much like on and off, sometimes several times during the same trip. And sometimes it would go days and even weeks in between seeing the same message, which was very confusing. So I had the bike in the workshop to change the ABS sensor. After that, it worked well for a while. And then I left for my long trip this summer, and then it started happening again. And then after a while, like it wouldn't disappear anymore. Like it was continuously saying that there's something wrong with the ABS sensor. It's not working at all. The traction control, etc., was gone. And my riding modes disappeared. My cruise control wouldn't work. I got myself into the first workshop possible, which was in Tromsø, Eide Motor. On the ABS module, there's a small grounding cable. And the nut holding this cable in place was a little bit loose. So there had built up some dirt and stuff like in between the nut and the module. So the connection there wasn't very good. That's what caused it to shut down. So they just cleaned it up, tightened it, and then it was all good again. Other than that, I've not had a single problem at all with the bike after 14,000 kilometers. Other than that, anything I don't like I mentioned, I don't really like the side bag carriers. I want to change those. Other than that, I don't know what that would be. I like this bike a lot. So I'm very curious to hear your opinion. If you're riding a Norden, if you had any troubles with it, if you had any dislikes with it, if there's anything you would change with it. I could mention if there was anything I would add that I didn't add to this one, it would probably be a center stand. So yeah, I've been very lucky that I didn't have a flat tire or anything like that on my trips. So I never really had the use for a center stand, but it's some extra weight, but it's not a whole lot of extra weight. And also I would like to have the wider side stand foot thingy, because the standard one is so thin and small that whenever you're parking on grass like this, you can see I have to have something underneath so it doesn't sink into the grass or mud or sand or whatever when you're parking and there's soft ground. So a lot of people wonder about the suspension, like is it very soft? Yeah, it is a little bit soft, super nice and comfortable to ride on just on tarmac and in the corners and stuff like that. With my kind of riding off-road, still the suspension has not been a problem. I'm not flying around, jumping and compressing it to the bottom, doing all this crazy stuff. So for me, the standard suspension is definitely more than enough and yeah, comfortable in my opinion. So a lot of people want my honest opinion about like if I was to choose again, would I choose the Norden or would I choose the Tenere if I was buying one for myself for next season, for example. And I feel like people don't really trust me when I say this because I'm riding this bike for free, I'm borrowing this bike for free. But my honest opinion is I would choose this bike. And the main thing about that is this one has so much more comfort for road riding, which I mainly do. I mainly do on-road riding and simple off-road riding. I don't throw it around on crazy tracks most of the time. Just with how I sit on this, how I feel on this, with the low weight and the seat and everything, this bike fits my need better than the Tenere did. And I didn't really know that when I got this bike, so I was very curious, oh my gosh, what if I don't like it? What am I going to do? What am I going to say? But luckily it's been a really, really, really good fit. Conclusion, I love this bike and I hope you do too. If you have questions or feedbacks or anything that was unclear or stuff that I didn't mention that you wished I talked about in this video, let me know in the comments. I will be coming with a review on its own for like my luggage and my gear and that kind of stuff. Also, let me know your opinion about this bike if you've tried it and what you think. So that was it. Have a good day and I'll see you soon. Bye.